You're looking live into Week 9 college football. Wide Right CFB's bringing it to you. Our first guest, he covers the West Coast like no other. He's our expert on USC football. He's a lifetime fan of the Trojans. That's USC football. Please welcome Cool Jude Santa Cruz.
What's happening,
Jude?
guys? I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you? What's going on today?
Oh, I just butchered the intro. That's just little things.
How'd you butcher the intro? It sounded good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I make everything sound good. Even when it's bad, I still make it good.
You do carry your voice very well when you're speaking. You sound like a game show host.
Oh, do I have a second career possibly? All right. Our next guest, he's the beast from the East. He's the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie fan club. His picks are so good, he's locked down like cover 2. Please welcome to the show, Lindsay Coyle. How are you doing tonight, Lindsay?
Oh,
he's pixelated.
Uh-oh.
He's frozen. Not like the movie Frozen. All right, let's say hi to some folks in the chat. Christian's in the chat. Diabolical 58. What's going on, John? Thanks for joining us. Bocce's Blankets and More. What's going on, Bocce? Awesome subscriber. Awesome, loyal subscriber. Pat Paulson, thank you for joining us. Pat Paulson, as always. And Tarek. Oh, T6tools.com. Home of RTA tools and shower enemas. I'm telling you.
Dude,
T6 tools, I think it's going to be big.
T6 representing, man. If Ed Tech was here, we'd all be on. That would make sense, but we all know we just like T6, even though I think it's 7 or 8 now.
Maybe we'll get T6 to sponsor a segment for us. What do you think? T6.
Oh, dude, if T6 could sponsor a segment, like when either there's like a obvious dirty play, or when a coach makes a horrible call, or a ref makes a super bad call. Or the best one probably would be like the most like targeting, like the worst targeting call of the week. And T6 could sponsor the dick of the week.
I like it. I like it. Not a lot of people are going to like it, but I like it. So, man, it is not a good week to be a Texas A&M Aggie. They lose 3 linemen. Let's get to our news of the week. Let's just go ahead and show this. So A&M loses 3 linemen to injury, and now they have to suspend 3 players who is suspected of smoking, the old ganj in the locker room before the game. So the coach has got to go suspend them. Could it go any worse? Not only are you 3-4 in the season, you just don't look good. You have injuries just riddling your offensive line. And now you got guys smoking a reefer in the locker room before the game. Allegedly. Innocent and until proven stupid. So, golly, it is not a good week to be in.
Weren't they proven stupid when they chose A&M over the burnt orange?
Oh, man, come on.
They're proven stupid.
Hey, look, I'll tell you what. I don't care where you go to college, as long as you're trying to make your life better or you're getting paid doing it, I am all for it. But when you go and there's like a certain set of rules, like you agree to whenever you go and join a university. And when you go and do something dumb like smoke weed in the locker room before a game, you deserve to get your butt kicked out of school. So I'm just saying, not a good day to be an Aggie. Not a good day. Oh, Tex talking shop in the house. All right. I love it. Thank you, Jude. Raging Cajun Garage joining us in the chat. Raging, how you doing tonight?
What's up, Raging?
Right. Let's see. We're just kind of shooting from the hip on the news today. It looks like there's an Alabama defensive lineman. He's out of for the season with a neck injury. And congratulations to Kansas State quarterback Taylor Martinez. Is it Taylor or Adrian Martinez?
I think it's Adrian, isn't it?
Adrian Martinez. I don't know. Adrian Martinez. He's a finalist for the academic Heisman, which means he's a smart kid. So congratulations to him. Former Husker, now he's a current
smart enough to leave Nebraska.
I think Doug Schmidt is probably logged off on that one.
So. Sorry, Doug. I got much love for you.
No, but yeah, not a good time to be that. And then you got the head coach of Iowa having to apologize for some comments he made to a reporter, which it seems like maybe his tenure might be shorter than proposed. I'm not sure. So
you talking about Friends? How do you pronounce it? Friends or Ferenz or something?
I think it's Ferentz.
Ferentz.
So we'll see. But if we're talking about coaching news, I mean, like there's got to be like some massive hot seat news going on right now. Like one, you've got West Virginia head coach Neil Brown. I mean, he looks like they are ready to move on. He needs to win. And really, honestly, my opinion is if you think you're going to get rid of the coach, you need to get rid of the coach. No ifs, ands, or buts. Just
don't wait. Yep. Pull the trigger. Wait.
Because all that's going to happen is you're going to fire him the next year, right? So, Neil Brown looks like he's probably out. You've got Brian Harsin, who's telling he's telling freshmen that I'm not going to let you redshirt. You have to get out there and play. And so they're wanting to bolt. So it looks like his tenure at Auburn could be over after this season. And then, you never know about Houston with Dana Holgorsen, and then you already have open jobs at Georgia Tech.
It's the primetime sweepstakes.
I don't know. What kind of turned me off on primetime was really how Eddie Robinson Jr. and him react, or how he talked to him after the game. Like he's not swag enough. But that tells you something. The guy that goes in there and he's like, I'm all about, the SWAC and the HBCUs and then just, oh, better jobs coming up. See you guys later. So, yeah. All right, let's add Lindsay one more time. Lindsay, can you hear us? Are you there? Are you there? Well, we'll see what happens.
Oh, do we have someone requesting a guest appearance? I see that Diabolical 58 is saying I haven't got an email.
All right, well let's see what I join.
Oh, that's going to be great, putting him on the spot talking college football.
Why not? Right? Why not? All right, let's do this. I'm going to send John an email. Jude, why don't we start talking about some of the games of the week?
Games of the week. Well, this week we have 3 matchups in the top 25. We have number 2 Ohio State going to Pennsylvania to play Penn State. They're actually number 13. So number 2 versus number 13. It should be a good game. Penn State rebounded well from a loss against Michigan. I mean, it wasn't just a loss. It was an absolute spanking. Michigan ran all over them. So we'll see how they bounce back, 2 weeks later against what a lot of people think might be the number 1 team in the country. We have number 19 Kentucky traveling to Rocky Top to face number 3 Tennessee. We'll see how that goes. Kentucky's a team that's trying to become a perennial top 25 team. They just can't quite become a perennial top 10 team. Now, Tennessee's number 3, and they haven't had a great year in a long time. But when you think Tennessee and Tennessee football, it's not really that big of a deal to see them ranked number 3 because it wasn't really that long ago that they won a national title with T. Martin, I think, in 1999, year after Peyton Manning left. Then what I think is the game of the week, you have number 9 Oklahoma State traveling to Kansas to play number 22 Kansas State. And I was talking with Cass a little bit right before the stream started. And when he asked me what my game of the week was, I told him that one. He's like, wow, man, that has the potential to be a great game. And I was like, yeah, Cass, that's why I picked it as the game of the week. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that one really does have the potential to be a great game. I'm looking forward to seeing that game. Let's see how Oklahoma State. They're if Oklahoma State wins this game, which I kind of think they will, it puts them in the perfect Oklahoma State season. They were undefeated through a little bit past halfway throughout the season. They lost a tough game to a team everybody thought they should beat, but I mean, it wasn't a guarantee. And then they probably went out the rest of the year and win a bowl game and they end up top 6. I mean, that's just Oklahoma State in a nutshell. I think I even think I talked about it at the beginning of the year, how Oklahoma State's just that team. But anyways, there's a bunch of top 25 games, but those are the 3 top games that have ranked teams playing each other.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're still waiting on Lindsey. He looks like he's having a little bit of technical difficulties. So what we'll do is let's talk about the good old salute to service. How about that? We ready to talk salute to service? We're 11 minutes in. Why not? Let's just.
I got
give them a
flag,
salute.
a very patriotic hat on today.
Yep. Red, white, and blue, boys.
Yep.
Let's go over here to salute to the service academies, and let's talk about our first service academy, and that will be my son's favorite service academy, the Naval Academy, and they're hosting Temple at 2:30 p.m. Now, this is a very winnable game for Navy. Temple is not very good, and their quarterback is the son of legendary Hall of Fame mythical legend Kurt Warner. E.J. Warner is the starting quarterback, and he's an 18-year-old kid. I mean, he's like fresh out of high school green. But Temple's also coached by Stan Drayton, who's a former Texas Longhorn running backs coach and very well-deserved head coaching, hire. And, and he looks like he's got Temple going in the right direction, but Temple's not ready for Navy. I promise you that. They are going to run into a buzzsaw, and Navy is going to be that saw. That's a 2:30 game. You can find that, as always with most Navy games, on CBS Sports Network. So if you're wanting to watch the football, there you go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. And you were talking about Hunter a little bit and how this is his favorite service academy. Since it's his favorite service academy, I'm going to go out and talk about his favorite thing to talk about, which is, I believe, if I'm saying it correctly, the law of transitive properties. Is that how you say it?
Law of transitive properties.
Yeah, if you go by the law of transitive properties, Tulsa beat Temple 27-16, and Navy smoked Tulsa 53-21. So I think that's a good sign that Navy's going to walk all over Temple.
I like your law of transitive properties, Jude. That works out very well.
Back to you, Cass.
Back to you, Cass. I like it. I am having, for the life of me, the hardest time of finding Army and Air Force.
Army and Air Force are both off till next week. They play each other on the 5th.
Nice.
They both have buys. They play each other next on November 5th.
Well, look, Jude's holding it down right here. I'm just mucking up the conversation. Let's go on to let's talk about the other service academies. We're going to head on over to the Merchant Marine Academy, and I believe the Merchant Marine Academy plays Springfield this weekend. Now, they took one on the chin last week versus Catholic. Turns out the Catholic's probably a pretty good football team, and so we're building up towards this November 12th. This November 12th game between the Coast Guard Academy and the Merchant Marine Academy, that's going to be a big one there. So the Merchant Marine Academy,
that sounds exciting.
they take on Springfield, 1 p.m. Eastern time, so it'll be noon for me and like 7 o'clock in the morning for Jude. So we're going to be pulling for them. This is in the Division III. So remember, we're not playing for a bowl game. So one more. They play this week. Then they're going to be off the first Saturday of November. Then they take on the Bears from the Coast Guard Academy. And I can't wait. Like I said, we're probably going to do something fun during that day. We're going to try to live stream it or watch it. That's going to be like a noon game, East Coast time, 11 a.m. for me, like 4 in the morning for Jude. So we'll have to figure out how to,
if you do that, I'll throw some lights on. I'll get a barbecue on. And if we're going to live stream, I'll stream while I'm smoking some links or something. Yeah,
let's do it. I think that'd be fun. We're gonna do that. We'll do like a live stream, maybe 2 halftime, and then we'll see how the game's going. We may hop off just because we're gonna live stream later that evening. But
correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking about the Merchant Marine Academy. About 20 years ago or so, maybe 25 years ago, did they have a running back named Mike Davis that played for the Broncos?
I think Mike Davis was just a Marine.
He was just a Marine. Okay,
Yeah.
I remember them talking about him playing football when he was a Marine, but maybe that's just kind of like the brigades for the Navy or something like that. Just something.
I didn't think about that. All right, so now we're talking about the Coast Guard Academy, and they're going to play the Smart Kids from MIT at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with the Coast Guard Academy. I think the Coast Guard Academy is they're 2-5 right now. They haven't had the season that they wanted, but I think they handle business against the MIT. Now this will be another good litmus test here. This is going to tell us how the game on November 12th is going to go. So the Merchant Marine Academy beat the Coast Guard Academy either 18 or 19-0. So all we need to see is if how this game goes. So if the Coast Guard Academy beats them by the same amount, we'll use the law of transitive properties and we'll say like it's going to be a close game. Now, if the Coast Guard Academy smokes MIT or loses to MIT, then the law of transitive properties will tell us that maybe they're not that good. So we're just going to have to find out and see. All right. All right, Christian's taking off. All right, Christian, get some rest. Good luck at basketball tryouts tomorrow, bud.
Yeah, good luck at basketball tryouts, Christian.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what else we got going on. Tarek says Kurt Warner used to have a Chevy dealership up in Vancouver, Washington. Rage of Cajun says, I can't wait for Georgia to take Tennessee out and hand them their first loss. Diabolical says, no, Jude, LOL. I think he's talking to Tarek.
No, I think he was saying he didn't want to link.
Well, he got one anyway, so if he wants to jump on, he's more than welcome to hop on. All right. Let's keep on rolling. We're just waiting on Lindsay. When he gets here, he gets here. We're also waiting on Hunter, too. I don't know where he is. He's busy slinging pizzas there, I guess. All right, so that's our Salute Service Academies. We only have one televised game, and then the other two you'll have to go and find via the intranet. So that's our Salute to the Service Academies. Good luck to Navy. I would like for all the service academies to win this weekend. They'll set up for a good next weekend. All right, back to the top 25. And that, I messed it up again. There we go. All right. Well, let's get back to some other football games of note. And tomorrow we have some games going on. We have actually two top 25 teams playing tomorrow. One of them being out of the Pac-12. Jude made a little something about one of these teams, or both of them. Utah is traveling to Pullman, Washington at Martin Stadium to take on the Cougars of Washington State. Now, the Cougars have the worst uniform, in my opinion, of any college football team, but I'm not going to hate on them. Drew, what are your thoughts on number 14, Utah, traveling to Pullman, Washington on a Thursday night to take on the Washington State Cougars?
Utah has a history of playing well on Thursday and Friday nights. Pac-12 has a lot of Thursday and Friday night games. They usually have one every Thursday, one every Friday, at least once you get to about season play or conference play. And Utah tends to do pretty well, although this season has just baffled me on who wins and who loses and who does what. I actually have Utah losing to Washington State 35-33 in a really good game. But we'll see what happens. I mean, Washington State's been a tough team. They played SC pretty tight. They were, I think they had just gotten ranked. And you know, what happens to all those teams, the perennial hang-arounds, you know, they always hang around the top 25, but they can't seem to claim their spot. That's Washington State. You know, they're just like apparently Kansas is the same way. You know, they're just those teams, man.
All right, Jude.
I think it's a good game.
All right, so we got another ranked team playing on Thursday night. Now, how this team's still ranked, I don't know. Virginia Tech is traveling to Raleigh, North Carolina to take on North Carolina State Wolfpack at Carter Finley Stadium. Now, North Carolina Wolfpack is not with their starting quarterback. He is out. So they're having to do it with the backup. What are your thoughts on this? Now, Virginia Tech's not a great team. We know this. But what do you think, Jude?
I think North Carolina is going to do what they have to do. It's at home. I know they don't have the starting quarterback, but they do have a decent defense. I think they're only giving up 16 or 17 points a game. Virginia Tech scoring about 25, 26 points a game, but so it's going to be, immovable object for irresistible force versus the immovable object. We'll see what happens there. But I see the score that I wrote down was I have North Carolina State winning 38-17.
All right, nice. All right, so we don't really have any ranked opponents on Friday night, but I've got to bring up this team because they're a team in peril right now. They are in a dangerous place of really shutting it down for the season. I got East Carolina traveling to Provo, Utah at Lavelle Edwards Stadium to take on the Cougars. Once again, another Cougar from BYU. Jude, how do you think this game is going to go? East Carolina got a big win last week, and BYU laid an egg. What do you think? Do you think it's a rebound week for the Cougars, or do you think the Pirates from East Carolina travel to Utah and steal one from the Cougars?
I think it's a rebound week for BYU. They're going to be playing at home, like you said, LaBelle Edwards Stadium, and I mean they can't. I guess we all thought they couldn't look as good as they did early, and now they can't be as bad as they look now. There's got to be a middle ground somewhere. I think they rebound and they take care of business. I didn't pick a score for this game, but if I had to think right now, I'd say they probably win somewhere in the 31-20 range, something like that.
All right, I dig it. All right, so I'm gonna skip a couple of the top matchups that we just talked about in Ohio State and Penn State and TCU and West Virginia. Go ahead, let's talk about Notre Dame traveling to number 16 Syracuse. We're going to Syracuse, New York from basically Chicago or South Bend, Indiana. We're going to be playing at the JMA Wireless Dome. And what the famous thing that the fans like to do at Syracuse is take their keys out and rattle these damn things the whole game. I don't know how many people lose their keys during the course of this game, but it's got to be more than like 100. So, Jude, who do you have Notre Dame at Syracuse? What do you got?
Notre Dame at Syracuse. I think this is the game that I picked for if you don't mind me saying it now, the game of the week, WEAK.
The week.
Yeah. Because Notre Dame has, and even though they're rebounding a little bit, I think they were top 5 when the season started. Now they're 4-3. So they're very disappointing, man. The season is weak compared to where people had them early in the season. And then Syracuse, even though they're 6-1 and almost held on to beat Clemson, this is the game where, the week after a tough loss, man, they're just completely deflated. And I think Notre Dame's going to win the game 28-27.
Wow, that's a close one there. All right, Jude, let's talk about this game. This is the largest cocktail party or largest outdoor cocktail party. We have Florida traveling to Jacksonville, Florida to take on Georgia, who's technically the home team, but Florida's the visitor. So basically, this is a rivalry game. So Georgia plays in Athens, Georgia, and Florida plays in what's the name of the city they play in? Anyways, it's not Jacksonville. It's kind of like a neutral site, and so the fans like to get together and they call it a cocktail party, which means they get liquored up and go watch football.
They get liquored up.
Get liquored up. Sometimes it's the best way to take a beating. Is completely tanked. All right, so this game happens at 2:30 p.m. on CBS, and it comes from the Jaguars Stadium. It's the TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. So, Jude, give me your thoughts on this game. Now, I think I know who you're going to pick. I think you're going to go with Georgia, but could this be a trap game because it's kind of a rivalry game?
It is kind of a rivalry game. Well, it's not kind of a rivalry game. It's one of the biggest rivalries out there. I mean, it's I would say Georgia and Florida are probably a bigger rivalry long term than Alabama, Georgia. And that's just more recent because, of the coaching situation and all that. But Florida scores a lot of points, but if you really look at it, Florida scores 31 points a game, but they give up 28 points a game. Georgia scores 41 points a game, but they only give up 9 points a game. So what's going to happen? I mean, I can see Georgia obviously scoring in the 30s because that's what Florida gives up, and they're averaging 40, but I don't see Florida hitting their mark. I mean, if they hit 20 points, I think that'll be a lot for them. The score I actually picked in this game isn't very close at all. I picked Florida getting wiped out 55-10.
Ooh, all right. Well, maybe we got the power of Lindsay with us here, so we'll see what happens on this one. All right, Jude, we have another ranked opponent versus unranked opponent. We have number 8 Oregon traveling to Berkeley, California, go play those smart kids over there at Cal. This is also a 2:30 game on FS1. What do you think is happening in this game? Oregon at Cal. I think my opinion is Oregon probably wins by the same margin that Georgia probably wins by.
Yeah, if not more. And this isn't going to be a competitive game at all. Or Oregon's going to walk right over them. Nick's is going to have a big game, and yeah, it's going to be game's not going to be close. Especially if you look at the way the seasons are going. Cal's like 1-4 in their last 5, and Oregon's on a roll. Man, they've won 5 in a row, or more than 5 in a row. I think they've won every game since they lost to Georgia.
All right, so I'm going to skip over the Oklahoma State-Kansas State game for just a minute. Let's talk about number 17, Illinois, traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska, play at the other Memorial Stadium. They're going to take on the Huskers. This is also a 2:30 game. You can only watch this game on ABC. Like I did that. I saw ACC Network. I'm like, neither one of these teams are in ACC. So Illinois at Nebraska. What do you think here, Jude? Who are you taking in this game?
Oh, I'm going to take the Fighting Illini. Nebraska, they beat Rutgers, they beat Indiana, but they're not. I could see Nebraska holding the lead late in the game and finding a way to lose, just finding a way to give it up. That's just how their season's going. If I look back, I did pick a score on all top 25 games. So let me find what I picked for that game. Sorry for the delay.
I'm sorry. I'll start doing. I'll bounce the ball on my nose. See here. I
picked Illinois winning 37-24.
All right. Respectable score. Nebraska scores some points, but defense is not their thing. All right. We have another ranked opponent versus unranked opponent. Number 10, Wake Forest, travels to Louisville, Kentucky, take on the Louisville Cardinals in Cardinal Stadium. Now, Jude, Wake Forest has a Heisman contender at quarterback, and Louisville is probably still not playing with their best player, and their coach is definitely on the hot seat. Does Louisville offer any kind of contention versus Wake Forest, or does Wake Forest just blow Louisville out?
Wake Forest blows Louisville out. That's what I think. 44-27, Wake Forest. Hartman's just going to probably throw for 4 or 5 touchdowns, and he's going to have a great game.
All right. So that's a 2:30 game. Man, there's a lot of these 2:30 games that could be like snoozers if we're not careful. All right. Number 20, Cincinnati, travels to Orlando, Florida. That's face the University of Central Florida. I think they're the Knights. Am I right on that one? Golden Knights? I think we have Golden Knights.
Something like that, yeah.
They play at FBC Mortgage Stadium in Orlando, Florida. And what do you got? UCS got a coach named Gus Malzahn, and everybody in Auburn, Alabama hates that guy. And they hired basically Gus Malzahn to replace Gus Malzahn at Auburn. But what do you think about Cincinnati at UCF?
Well, I remember, if I remember correctly, I believe Hunter said last week that UCF is probably the best team in that conference. They're playing pretty well. I mean, since they lost to East Carolina, they're on a 4-game winning streak. I mean, you got to consider the conference they play in. But I went with your boy, man. I took UCF 27, Cincinnati 24.
Nice. We'll see. I mean, it could pay. We have to check Lindsey's email here in a minute. I know he emailed me. We'll have to check Lindsey's email and see. All right, let's travel on down the road, and we're going to talk about a team that. Oh well, first off, we have Missouri traveling to Columbia, South Carolina, to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks, the other USC. One's the Cocks, one's the Trojans. How does that work out? How do we get the Cocks and the Trojans to play each other? I'm going to take the Trojans to cover them by at least 6.
Yeah, the Trojans will cover.
Yeah, the Trojans will cover. All right, this game's on the SEC Network. It's at 3 p.m. It comes to you from Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. South Carolina is a new entry to the top 25. They knocked off Texas A&M last week in an ish game, and it turns out like some of the players may have been a little woohoo, a little glassy-eyed before the game. So, Jude, who do you have in this game? Missouri versus South Carolina.
I picked Missouri to win 26-24. South Carolina is just another one of those teams that, they're always lingering. Their hangarounds, they're lingering around the top 25. They'll jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out. Well, they made it in, and now they'll make it back out.
All right. This next game is a 6 p.m. game Central Time. It happens on the Pac-12 network. It comes to you from Arizona Stadium in beautiful Tucson, Arizona. We have number 10 USC traveling to play the Wildcats from Arizona. Jude, does USC just come out and just absolutely shell Arizona in this game? Is it just going to be all gas and no brakes? Or is it going to be – what is Lincoln Riley? Lincoln Riley's just going to lay it to him, right? He has to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's got to start putting points on the board and making teams look bad. Otherwise, they have no chance to get back into a playoff, no matter what, even if they win out. Caleb Williams is going to throw for 6 touchdowns. Mario Williams is probably going to catch 3 of them. And I picked USC to win 66-24. Going away.
Well, let's hop over to the chat real quick, Jude. Let's take a minute.
All right.
Well, let's say hi to Doug Schmidt. Schmitty71. What's going on, Doug?
What's up, Doug?
Let's say bye to Bocce. Bocce says she's got to go. 4 a.m. comes very early, and I don't blame her. So, Bocce, thanks for joining us.
Good night, Bocce. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit.
All right, Jude. The Battle of Michigan. Michigan State at number 4 Michigan. 6:30 p.m. coming to you from Ann Arbor, Michigan, Michigan Stadium. They're playing at the Big House. Does this get ugly? This is on ABC. This is a televised game. Does this get ugly soon, early and often?
Well, it's so hard for me to pick this game. I mean, this is a rivalry game, 100%. And if anybody has Jim Harbaugh's number and Michigan's number besides Ohio State, it probably is the Spartans. I have Michigan as one of my contenders. Like one of my top 5 contenders. It's still looking good, looking good into the playoff. But that's going because of what they've done thus far in the season. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan walks all over them. But for the game, I ended up picking – what was the score? Michigan State 27, Michigan 26. I did pick Michigan State to upset Michigan.
Now, we don't have weather. There's no weather. It looks like it's going to be a Chamber of Commerce day. 63 for the high and lots of sunshine. So, if they're going to beat them, weather is not going to be taken into consideration. All right.
Yeah,
let's move on down.
Michigan looks to have a real quarterback, but man, I like State's running back. I don't know his first name, but I think it's Berger or Badger or something like that. That dude's a solid running back. I could see him having a big game against Michigan in a rivalry game.
All right, Jude, let's head on down south in my neck of the woods. Number 15, Ole Miss, is traveling to College Station, Texas, to take on those fighting Texas Aggies at Kyle Field. This is a 6:30 kick my time, and you can only catch this game on the SEC Network. Jude, does Ole Miss absolutely shell Texas A&M after what happened to them last week, and then how dysfunctional Texas A&M is right now?
Well, I think they absolutely beat them, and they beat them solidly. But, I mean, Texas A&M will put some points on the board. I think that Lane Kiffin's going to keep his foot on the pedal when it comes to the offense, and Ole Miss is going to run hard. But Ole Miss hasn't proven to be able to stop anybody, and Texas A&M has been able to score points. So that being said, Texas A&M really doesn't score a lot of points. I think they score like 22 points a game, but I have Ole Miss winning 48-24.
All right.
So is it a shellacking? They double them up, but yeah, I think they.
I don't know if you get doubled up at home. If you get doubled up at home, it's not good. All right, Jude. We're gonna head east. Pittsburgh is traveling to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, to take on the number 21 North Carolina Tar Heels from Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill. This is a 7 p.m. game, and you can catch this game only on the ACC network. North Carolina's defense is not very good, but Pittsburgh's offense is probably as bad as North Carolina's defense is. I think North Carolina gets the win, but it's not going to be by a lot. It's going to be a pretty close game. Jude, what do you think?
Man, I feel bad because I'm a big SC fan. I try to follow their old play. I was hoping that Keelan would lead Pittsburgh to a solid bowl and that JT Daniels will lead West Virginia to a big bowl, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like both teams are going to be lucky to get into a bowl. I did pick. Sorry, I got to keep my. I thought I had my scores in order, but I lost that game. Oh, there it is. It surprises myself. This is probably a sentimental thing, but I picked Pittsburgh to win 27-26. I don't expect that one to happen, but I'm trying to give some hope. Maybe Keaton Slovis is watching this and he's like, man, dude, so those guys picked me. I got to play great. I gotta play great. I gotta play great tomorrow. Make that cool Jew dude look like he knows what he's talking about.
Well, let's hope he is. We hope he is. Keaton, if you're out there, you want a link, just let us know. We'll bring you on right away. All right, Jude. Our last ranked team hosting an unranked team. We have the Cardinal from Stanford traveling to Los Angeles to take on the University of California, Los Angeles at the Rose Bowl in beautiful Pasadena, California. Dude, this is a 9:30 my time kickoff, 7:30 your time. I'm sure the weather will be phenomenal. This can be on ESPN. Is USC or is UCLA? Are they gonna snap back from last week's just drubbing by Oregon and beat Stanford? I mean, Stanford lost last week to, I think they lost to Arizona State or Arizona, or it was not good.
No, they beat ASU 15-14.
Oh, well, that might as well be a loss.
And then in the week before that, they beat Notre Dame 16-14. So wow, some big offensive outputs from Stanford, huh? But a win streak is a win streak. And when you won 2 in a row, why not go for 3? I think UCLA was exposed. I'm not a huge David Shaw fan, but the Cardinal are able to do what UCLA is not. They're usually able to run the ball pretty decently, and when UCLA is not usually able to stop it. I picked the Cardinal to win 35-34. I'm picking a lot of tight games this week. I'm hoping to see some good football. This game will be going on during our live stream on Saturday nights. Kickoff right at the same time as our live stream.
All right, Jude. We got another panelist joining us tonight. He is the expert in college football. He gives you the information that only the coaches know. Please welcome to the stream my son, Hunter, a.k.a. the most cursed man in the world. Hunter, how are you doing tonight, son?
Doing all right.
What's up, Hunter?
So, Hunter,
doing, dude?
Did you take some notes with you to work today so you could join the stream and bless us with some information?
I sure did.
Hunter, give me some of your contenders. This week's contenders. What do you got, son?
All right. So to start off this week's contenders, some people would call this, their game of the week or, a classic rivalry. I got Florida, Georgia. I don't think this is going to be a very close game. I think Georgia wins 42-14. Florida Anthony Richardson has improved this year, but gosh, it's just not by enough. Florida's defense has improved this year, but again, gosh, it's just not by enough. It looks like, Georgia had those 2 scares and then suddenly remembered, oh yeah, we're the best team in college football. I don't see Florida doing much. I think that Stetson Bennett looks good again. He doesn't make very many mistakes, and I think that he doesn't make very many against Florida. The defense, I think, just stays dominant. So what Georgia's defense does really well is cover a lot of, man beaters. They stop man beaters real well in a man defense while making it look like zone. So you have to run zone beaters on Georgia, even though they're in man defense, and you have to have the talent to get the ball away from their corners while also facing one of the best pass rushes in college football. Florida doesn't do that schematically. They're very much reliant on the classic play action routes, and those just aren't going to do the trick in this game, especially with the ferocious pass rush like Georgia possesses. Also, their linebackers are extremely good in coverage, so That's a tough one. I think Georgia takes down Florida 42-14, remains the best team in the country. On to the second best team in the country. I have Ohio State going into
Happy
Happy
Valley.
Valley, taking on the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Now, if this game was played at night, it would change my pick and prediction completely. But since it's at 11 a.m., that student section won't be rocking like it should because really it's 10 a.m. I think Ohio State goes in there and blows the doors off of Penn State 49-28. I think it's just domination up, down, and around the field. Penn State, they stunk it up against Michigan. Ohio State can run the ball almost as good as Michigan can. They can throw the ball better than anyone else in the country. So I think Ohio State just goes and crushes the Nittany Lions. Penn State's defense got exposed against Michigan in every facet of the game. I don't see anything different here. Would I like to see Penn State upset Ohio State? Yes, I love upsets. I experience them all the time as a Texas fan. So, I just don't think it's going to happen. If this game was played at night, completely different thing. But it's being played at 10 a.m.
I don't think being upset that your team lost constitutes an upset.
Yeah. Anyway, so if this game was played at night, I would change it completely. But it's not. It's at 10 a.m. Ohio State comes in there, kicks in the Nittany Lions' teeth, moves on, and we'll move on.
It's 11. It's actually 12 in Pennsylvania, so they're an hour ahead of us, not an hour behind us.
What? Oh, that's right. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Yeah.
All right, so give me a third contender here.
So I've got TCU going into West Virginia and kicking the Mountaineers while they're down 55-14. Neil Brown kept his job for a week. Congratulations, golf clap there. West Virginia's done. Their programs, Neil Brown's tenure in
Morgantown.
Morgantown is I think Charleston's the capital. Is done. JT Daniels' time in college football ends the way it doesn't deserve to. He's a good quarterback, but he's made some bad school choices like USC, and losing his job to Stetson Bennett, then going to West Virginia. He's going to come to Texas State. If you're going to stink it up, you might as well stink it up in San Marcos, right? Anyway, so yeah, I don't really see West Virginia putting up much of a fight. I don't think TCU has to try and come back in this one. I think they just go out and lay the wood to the Mountaineers. Now, on to my pretenders. I have Virginia Tech going to NC State. I think it's Raleigh is where they're at. And I have the Hokies beating the NC State Wolfpack 21-9. And the reason I say 9 is because I think it's 3 field goals. Let's get the idea of a safety out of the way. NC State has not looked good without Devin Leary. They look lost. Their running game's worse. Their passing game's non-existent. The backup quarterback there, he don't got it. Whatever it is, he don't have. So I think Virginia Tech gets a big win for the Brent Pry era. They've been getting better each week. I think that this is the week that they put it all together and beat a Power 5 team. And that's kind of how I feel. They play good defense. NC State plays terrible, terrible offense. So really this game could be 12-9, but it ain't going to be – I don't think NC State scores a touchdown. If they do, I won't be surprised, but I don't think they do. Next on our pretenders, and this could count as an upset, I have Notre Dame taking on Syracuse and beating them 28-21. I think Clemson gave us the formula on how to beat Syracuse, and that's run the ball straight at them. And the one thing Notre Dame has done well this year is run the ball. So as long as they stick to that game plan of running the ball, using those big offensive linemen, using those big tight ends, and keep everything simple for your quarterback, Drew Pine. I think that's the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you keep everything simple there. I think you go and I think you beat Syracuse. Clemson also gave the playbook on how to beat their offense. Just take Sean Tucker out of it. Garrett Schrader doesn't have the talent to overcome that. They don't have the wide receivers to overcome not having Sean Tucker being a feature piece. So I think Notre Dame has the defense to slow them down. I mean, Notre Dame is the only defense that slowed down Ohio State this year. So I think Notre Dame has a defense to slow down Syracuse and take Sean Tucker out of the game. In terms of schematics, don't hurt him. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. So I just think that's how it's going to play out for Notre Dame. I think they win 28-21. And then my last pretender is Cincinnati. Cincinnati's gotten by a bunch of games this year, just kind of staying low, but they're still considered a contender. They're considered the second best team in the AAC. And I think this week when they go to Orlando, Florida, even though the Knights took an ugly loss last week, I think that was just an aberration. There's a lot of silly turnovers that don't happen consistently with them. I think as long as they don't make those same mistakes, which his team's been very good about not doing, I think they come out and I think they beat Cincinnati 35-28. I'm going to go UCF there, exposing the Bearcats to be just a lesser team than they were last year, which is fine. I mean, last year's team was, in years prior would have played in a BCS game. So upset of the week, though, I have Kentucky going into Knoxville and taking down the Volunteers 28-20. Now, this one is a long shot. It is a long shot. But if there's any coach in the SEC that loves to be called an underdog, it is Mark Stoops. They started out the season being talked about.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah. They love being talked about as a team that, isn't very good or doesn't have these kind of players. Will Levis, he's starting to slip on draft boards. He's maybe not going to be the first quarterback taken now, he'll be the third quarterback now. He wants to be the second or first. So he needs to have a big game. The Kentucky defense needs to have a big game. And, they just come off a bye week. Tennessee is riding higher than high gets. They didn't look flat at all against UT Martin, but UT Martin is not good. Like, they're not good in FCS terms. They're not good in Division II terms. They're just not good. So I think that Kentucky, if they can slow down Tennessee's offense, that's the caveat here. If they can slow down Tennessee's offense, they can beat Tennessee. Tennessee's defense still isn't where it needs to be. Kentucky has the offensive player in Will Levis to win them this game. Now, if they give up more than 28 points, Tennessee will win this game. If Tennessee scores 28 or more, lock it in, Tennessee wins. If they score 20 or less, Kentucky wins.
All right.
Between 21 and 28 is a kind of a...
20.
Huh?
I think holding them to less than 20, man, that's rough.
I mean, Florida kept them down, and I think Kentucky's significantly better than Florida.
All right. So give me a G5 game of the week, son.
All right. So G5 game of the week. So, I think a lot of people would look at the schedule and go, oh, it's Cincinnati and UCF's the G5 game of the week. No. I have the real G5 game of the week right here in front of me. The New Mexico State University Aggies go to wherever UMass is and take on the Minutemen in what is assured to be one of the least watched games ever placed on the ESPN app. But I cannot wait to see two terribly colored maroon teams show down in a battle of who just stinks more.
All right, so this game
I think
comes to
UMass is in
Amherst,
Massachusetts. Just to answer that question.
Amherst, Massachusetts, from Warren McGurk Alumni Stadium. Warren McGurk Alumni Stadium. Just remember that.
And so
the Minutemen from UMass.
My game of the week, I have two. You can take your pick. I'm going to roll with the traditional rivalry, a game that Michigan has not won in 2 years. The Michigan Wolverines taking on the Michigan State Spartans. I do believe that they are in Ann Arbor this year.
About to be
2 years they have not beat. Yeah, dude, I don't think so. Kenneth Walker's not there anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That dude was a bad dude, man. He owned Michigan for sure.
Yeah. Kenneth Walker's not there anymore.
He's tearing it up now too. Where's he at?
Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that's Bruce Hall that just got hurt. No, Kenneth Walker's been tearing it up in Seattle. But the score here, I have Michigan winning 42-24. I know, a blowout as a game of the week. But, it's a traditional rivalry. It's a big thing, Paul Bunyan's trophy and all that good stuff. I think Michigan just runs the ball so much better this year than they did last year. And Michigan State, man, they couldn't stop Minnesota, who we've seen not be very good. So transitive properties tell me a team that runs the ball even better, with an even better offensive line, with a better quarterback, a better defense, goes and kicks in Michigan State's teeth, kicks them in some more, knocks their head off, whatever metaphor you want to use for an absolute beatdown. I think it's 42-24. Now, an actual close game of the week, and something that if you're a Big 12 fan or ref, you might be interested in. Oak State taking on Kansas State.
My game.
K-State comes off a tough loss. Oak State comes off a big win. Neither team can afford to lose in order to keep their Big 12 title hopes alive. I think TCU kind of exposed K-State didn't have Adrian Martinez, but I don't think it really mattered. I think that if Spencer Sanders plays as good as he did against Texas, against K-State, big if, and the Oak State defense plays as good as plays even better than they did. They look like they've been getting better every week, unfortunately. So I think Oak State pulls this one out 41-34. That sounds a lot like the score of the other game. So I think that they probably have a come-from-behind win. I think Kansas State offense sputters as Oak State's defense clamps down. And I think that Oak State and Spencer Sanders find a way to win this game and keep their Big 12 title hopes alive, if not securing them, because their schedule gets a lot easier after this game. And, that's about all I got. Well,
Gary, Heisman contenders. Who's your Heisman? Which Heisman contender has the best game this week?
So, I'll say real quick my salute to service. There's only one playing in the FBS.
Okay.
So Navy against Temple, and I have Navy winning 21-7. Temple's looked real good this year. Well, they haven't not looked real good. They've looked like they're really improving. Navy has had.
And we're big Stan Drayton fans, so
yep.
If you want to pull for an up-and-coming coach, this guy's going to be big time.
I'm a big Kurt Warner fan. I'd like to see his kid do pretty well.
Yeah. So if you want to see a good young coaching prospect that's going to be like your next big-time coach in college football, just keep an eye on Stan Drayton. He may not do it at Temple, but he'll go somewhere and he'll be big time. He's a hell of a recruiter, and he's a really good football coach.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if he tells you a running back's good, you're probably right.
Yeah, you need to listen.
Yeah.
All right, let's say hi to Miguel Martinez for jumping in with a bunch of emojis. I have no idea what those mean, but Miguel, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you joining us.
So, if I had to do a little breakdown of this game, Temple's passing game just isn't where it needs to be to overcome Navy's ability to handle the run.
Well.
And I don't think Temple's defense is where it needs to be to handle the triple option. I think Navy kind of just leans on them, and it's not an exciting game. I think Navy, though, they do get the win. They made a comeback late twice now. I think that they just come out and take the lead, and they don't give it up this time. Those guys are there to play for Coach Cannon for their country, so there ain't no quitting them.
I've got to
win this game.
No, go ahead.
Temple could win this game. But E.J. Warner's got, really step up and get the ball, really push the ball downfield. And then I'll let you talk before I get to my Heisman.
No, I was just going to say I've got a bunch of really close games this week. I think it could be a great week of college football. One of them is the Navy and Temple game. I think Navy's going to pull it out late, maybe with a last drive touchdown, and I think they're going to win 38-37. I don't think Temple's going to be able to stop that run. You're right; they're not ready for that triple option at all. But I just have really high hopes that this has been a very good week for college football. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about contenders and pretenders. I'm just going to name the teams that I have as my contenders and pretenders. And obviously, the contenders are mostly all in the top 10. I got Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee, TCU, and Michigan, who I think will not be in that lineup next week. And then my pretenders, and there's a common theme other than one team from South Carolina. My pretenders are USC, UCLA, Oregon, Utah, and Clemson. Until we get the real DJU to start showing up, or the good DJU, I should say. As long as he's, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I have to keep him a pretender. I've gone back and forth, this season like 3 different times, but they're back in the pretenders.
I think you found him. I think you found the good DJU. He wears 2.
He wears the. Hey, maybe that might be the case, but the other 4 teams are all out of the Pac-12 because I honestly, as much as it hurts me to say it, man, I want to see a Pac-12 team get into the national the playoff, the college football playoff, but I'm just afraid that Georgia, Oregon's going to happen again. So they're not ready. They're not ready, and like I've said, there is a reason Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma. It's not because USC is such a better school to coach at, because Oklahoma's got some history. Oklahoma's got some Heismans. Oklahoma's got some national titles. They've got some prestige in their blood. And I think he left Oklahoma not because SC's that much better of a school, but because Oklahoma's going to the SEC. And his teams do not coach that kind of a defense. So sorry, Pac-12, as much as I love you guys, all 4 teams ranked in the top 15 are pretenders.
All right.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to hear what Lindsay has to think? Would y'all
Well, let me get my Heisman's in real quick.
All right, well, get your Heisman's in, and then I have to speak for one Mr. Lindsay Coyle, who is having some technical difficulties tonight.
Oof. So my Heisman's, this is in order of what I think the votes, how they would fall, or how these guys would fall in terms of votes. Number 1 overall, C.J. Stroud. I think he has the best game this week of all the Heisman hopefuls, let alone, all the other things. He'll look the best. He'll have another ranked win. His stats just continue to pile up and will do so and look amazing. Number 2, I have Hendon Hooker. If they lose this game, his Heisman hopes to go with that loss. But till we see what happens with Kentucky, Hendon Hooker, I think, in the second running for the Heisman. If he wins this game, I think it almost guarantees that he will be in New York if he wins this game. Third, I have Blake Corum, the running back of Michigan. He is the heart and soul of that Michigan team. He is the engine of their offense. That guy is as important to that Michigan team as, Ricky Williams was to 98 Texas. Fourth is Max Duggan for TCU. That team rides and dies on Max Duggan's right arm and 2 legs. As RG3 calls him, the Red Dragon. They keep winning. He'll keep staying. He'll keep climbing my Heisman rankings. I don't think he has a big test this week, but in 2 weeks, I think he has probably the most important test of his career to take on a team that he's only beaten once. We'll talk about that when we get to it. And then after him, I have Drake May, the quarterback out of North Carolina. He's putting up amazing stats this year, leads the country in touchdowns. Just like Mac Brown, just to find some guy, it's like a low 4-star and make him into a college football superstar in a year. And then going back to Oregon, I have Bo Nix. A bad week 1 has led into Bo Nix getting legitimate Heisman hype for the first time in his career. I mean, if he played like this at Auburn, Gus Malzahn still might have a job there.
All right.
My Heisman, I think it's every single team every player that he picked is worthy of mention, but I'm going to keep mine short. I think it's right now a 2-horse race. I think it's Hendon Hooker and I think it's C.J. Stroud. Those 2 players are just far and above beyond what everybody else is, including Caleb Williams, and their stats are uncanny close, man. For the season, Hendon Hooker he has his completion percentage at 70.6%, and C.J. Stroud is at 70%. For the yards, they're both just over 2,000 yards, like 2,053 and 2,095 or something like that. And then C.J. Stroud has 28 touchdowns and 4 picks, and Hendon Hooker has 18 touchdowns and 1 pick. So one of them has to either win it or lose it. So that could happen this weekend, just like Hunter said. Mm-hmm. If I had to name one dark horse, it's the same person I said last week that I didn't really say he was a dark horse. I just asked about him. And he didn't have 5 touchdowns again, but he had a big game last week, 7 touchdowns, 174 yards and 2 TDs. And when 25% of your receptions are touchdowns, he's got 12 touchdowns and 40 receptions. That Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee is also, I think, at least 40 of a mention.
Yeah, I've actually seen like some of the Heisman rumors have Jalen Hyatt actually getting real. The Heisman voters are actually starting to get pretty high on him. If he keeps producing like this, it will be hard to keep him out of New York.
All right, are we ready to hear what Lindsay has to say?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, I have to go with Lindsay's email because Lindsay had some technical difficulties. So, in my best Lindsay Coyle impersonation, let's do this thing. All right, contenders. We have number 2 Ohio State over Penn State, 38-24. We have number 7 TCU over West Virginia, 42-12. We got number 1 Georgia over Florida, 45-38. In the pretenders column, he's got the University of California losing to Oregon, 35-24. He's got Louisville going down to Wake Forest, 45-27. And he's got Michigan State losing Jude to Michigan, 45-17. An absolute throttling. Now, Lindsay has stated he believes there will not be an upset this week. He says all ranked teams will beat their unranked opponents. All ranked contests will see the higher ranked team win. So he's saying in his Coyle magic that all upper ranked teams are going to beat lower ranked teams. Lindsay's
I
Heisman
can see
watch,
that.
he's got Bo Nix at the top. He's got Sam Hartman. He's got CJ Stroud. He's got Caleb Williams, and he's got Hendon Hooker. Now, I think we have probably 2 contenders on that list. I think, the others maybe are the next step back. But this is Lindsay's list, so I'm not going to commentate on it. And I will say he's got the game of the week as the number 3 Tennessee Volunteers take on the number 19 Kentucky Wildcats. He says this will be the closest of all games, but not that great. Tennessee wins 32-24. And in his game of the week, as in the he's got Missouri in South Carolina. Race for the bottom. South Carolina wins this game 42-38. Now, if it's a game of the week, it's 42-38. That's not a bad game to watch. That's an exciting game. That's got some drama.
Missouri hasn't put up 30 points has not put up 30 points this year.
Well, they are playing South Carolina, so there's always a chance.
Well, South
But
Carolina hasn't given up.
What
30
does South
points either.
Carolina, Hunter, what does South Carolina do well?
Defense and special teams. Beamer ball.
Beamer ball, that's right. Frank Beamer's son, what's his first name?
Shane.
Shane Beamer. That is correct. Well, that's Beamer ball. All right, guys, what do you think? That's week 9 in a nutshell. What do you got?
Real quick, my game of the week, WEEK, is Oklahoma State and Kansas State. I think that's going to be a barn burner. I think that the last team to have the ball is going to win. I think Oklahoma State is going to win that game 35-31 and finish either 10-2 or 11-1, and just that same team that Oklahoma State always is. Not quite national. I mean, they always blow it either the week before, their championship. Well, I don't even think the Big 12 has a championship game anymore, do they?
Yeah,
They do. They brought it back.
No, they brought it back, but they the
top
week
2
before
teams.
the championship game, or man, they just always find a way to not be a top 5 team, and I think they did that a couple weeks ago. But now, when they play TCU, and I think they're going to have a good rest of their way. Good rest of the season. I think it's going to be a barn burner.
All right. Well, I guess I got one more. I got my own personal game of the WEAK, and that is Northwestern's traveling to Iowa City, Iowa, to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes at Kinnick Stadium. Now, Iowa Hawkeyes they have one of the coolest traditions in college football, where they turn and everybody in the stands waves to the kids at the Children's Hospital. You don't get any better than that. That right there.
That's awesome.
That's maybe one of the greatest gestures or events that happens at a home football game. You can't feel any more happy or proud to know that actually happens. That's such a cool
100%.
thing. But I think that the kids watching the game are going to be upset because I think this game is going to be like 6-3. I think Iowa wins this game 6-3. I don't think it's a very good game. Iowa's kind of a mess right now. I think the coach he's probably outstayed his tenure there. I know Iowa fans they'll disagree with me, but that's just my opinion. Northwestern's not a good team. They're not going to be a good team anytime soon. Their coach is, he's straddled with the whole academia. They got to be able to get players in that can pass the school and play football. And much like Notre Dame, it's very hard. It's one of those things. If you're smart enough to get into one of those schools, you're probably going to go to Notre Dame first, then Stanford, then Cal, then maybe you go to Northwestern. But
Duke
or Duke, or it's very difficult. So
it's not an easy hand that what's his name has been dealt. I apologize, I don't remember his name right now. I usually remember all the coaches' names, but not an easy hand that he's been dealt. That game does not sound very exciting. It sounds like, man, if you really like seeing maybe safeties or punting, Pat McAfee may be on that one.
Will we see the 1 point safety?
This could happen in this game. Anything is possible. It'll be the most unconventional scoring of all time. So.
Don't show an A&M fan the 1 point safety.
All right.
They were going to win until that happened.
Well, I think that's going to probably wrap the show right there, guys, right? You think?
I was thinking about doing a section where we talk about a team that's in trouble, but we can save that for another day.
Okay. Well, let's make a few announcements. We can talk about that here in a second. Let's make a few announcements. So Tuesday, all right, so we're going to add something to Saturday's broadcast. We're going to talk about Maction. Maction's back, baby. We got games on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's like Christmas for football junkies. That's what I'm talking about. We got Maction on Tuesday and Wednesdays. So on Saturday night, we're going to talk a little Maction. So everybody, if you got any Mac teams that you pull for, get your Mac picks in. Let us hear about it. We're going to talk a little Maction. And then also, we're going to remind you about our 500-ish subscriber giveaway. Now, the bad thing is we should be gaining subscribers. We're actually losing subscribers. So, ish. When I say ish, we may be talking about 32-ish subscribers. So, get them in there. You're going to win 2 shirts. You're going to win a football signed by most of all the Wide Right CFB crew. And you're going to win 2 $50 gift cards to Buffalo Wild Wings, courtesy of Wide Right College Football and Mr. Cool Jude Santa Cruz. And we'll read this, the winner, the night of the Heisman, after the Heisman's read. But you have to watch the video that we put up the morning of the Heisman. You have to watch it, like it, and you have to be a subscriber. We'll put it in the little comment generator, and by some kind of magic, it will produce a winner. And we will probably personally know one of the winners because we're mostly the subscribers.
We personally know the subscribers, too.
Yeah, we know most of them. So, make sure you sign up. Make sure you watch. Make sure you like so you can win from Wide Right CFB. Hunter, what do you have about a team in trouble? Team in trouble. I think I know which team you're going with. I think they wear maroon, and I think they play in College Station. Am I right?
Oh, man. It just seems like there's no good news out of College Station. I don't want to go and bag on the Aggies because I dislike them. I'm not anti-Aggie, to be honest. But it just seems like they cannot they can't get their heads out of their butts, really. All these 5-star players are fighting each other in locker rooms and apparently yelling to position coaches and saying that they don't know how to run a team. And it's just, you go and you put together a recruiting class like that, you gotta keep it. Because if they go and leave, then every recruit that's now coming up, looking like, oh, do I want to go to Texas A&M, Baylor, UT, Alabama? And they see, well, all these guys left A&M. Why would I want to go there if they don't think it's good enough to stay there?
Well, let's do this. Let's expand on this conversation a little bit more on Saturday night.
Yeah,
it's kind of some filler because we don't have as many games with some buys. But let's talk about some teams in trouble on Saturday night. So,
because that will really tell us if A&M's in trouble and they take a bad loss to Ole Miss, that could be real bad. Other teams in trouble were Burnt Orange, or what's the Crimson and Cream.
Crimson and Cream.
Anyway.
I feel like we have a Southwestern feel to this conversation. Anyways,
red and white.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap the show. Hunter, I'm gonna solo up on you. You can say your highs and buys here. So go ahead and say.
Gonna be my highs and buys to the crowd and to the panelists. So, as always, in order of importance, eat 'em up, Cats, hook 'em horns, and go Navy, beat Temple. Fire Jake Spavital.
Fire
Jake Spavital. All right, Jude, my dude.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please, if you know people, tell them to subscribe. We still possibly have a special guest that a lot of people would like to see later on in the season. And
why'd you take the water out of here?
Oh, 1 second. There was one other thing I was going to say. I forgot.
All right.
I'm done. All right, back to you, Cass.
All right, back to you, Cass. All right, so Jude mentioned that we do have a big-ish subscriber. I will say, or a big-ish guest. I will say this. This guest has won a Heisman Trophy. And if you don't believe us, we have an N of N's. So we have a Heisman Trophy winner that we know how to contact and will come on our show. So you have to join us and subscribe. Is a Heisman Trophy winner. I'm going to bring Jude in full screen just so he can agree with me. Jude, is this a real deal or not? You're muted, Jude. You're muted. You got to unmute.
Absolutely, 100%. He's a mid 2000s Heisman Trophy winner.
Yep. So that's all we can say. We'll kind of let them in the 2000s Heisman Trophy winner.
In the 2000s.
In the 2000s Heisman Trophy winner. It's a real deal. So if you're watching and you know some friends, get subscribed because we're going to bring them on. We just wanted to get our game down a little bit better than what it was. So we're definitely going to bring them on. So
I think we're getting better too.
What's that?
I think we're getting better too.
Oh, yeah. We're light years ahead. We just need to get some more subs. We'll be fine. Yep. And you know what? And if not, then during the summertime when people are jonesing for football, they're going to go back and watch our live streams. They're going to be like, wow, these guys know what they're talking about. And the next year, we're going to be like rock stars,
That's right, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Everything.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say, too. We got a lot of good games this week, but the one game I'm looking forward to very, very much is November 5th. And I mentioned it to Cass. I can't wait to see Army and Air Force, man. I think that's going to be a great game. Yep.
All right. Well, that's going to do us for tonight. And I'm going to leave my guy Jude on the screen with me because you know what? He's one of the driving forces behind Wide Right CFB. And I want to say thank you to Lindsay for sending in his picks. I'm sorry he couldn't get on today. I want to thank Hunter for dropping in. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Thank you, John Diabolical 58, Doug Smitty 71. Thanks for dropping in. Miguel Martinez, as always. Brown Eminem. Thanks for dropping by. Bochy's playing some more. We love having you on the show. Christian, we'll see you Saturday, buddy. Tarek, thanks for jumping in. Raging Cajun Garage. Can't thank you enough for joining us. Text Talking Shop. Jude, thanks for watching us with 2 channels. Pat Paulson for jumping in. That's going to do it for me. Yeah, Bochy. That's going to do it for me. So, Jude, in the famous words of John Madden, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. Thanks for watching.